Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Stacking Perpetrator here. Today I'm going to talk about something that I've thought about, and I tend to go against the grain of most of the big time stacking channels, especially when it comes to stacking and when it comes to my numismatic collection. And I laid out some silver pieces here from my collection. As you know, I don't power stack any one type of coin or one type of generic round. I like to mix it up and have a nice variety of stuff. Most of you know that follow me, I don't stack the same old thing over and over and over and over again. It to me is boring. I like to lay it out, and when I go through it, I like to have, I like to look at different pieces, not tubes of the same old. And the topic I want to get into is, for a long time, a lot of channels have been talking about how they wished, or what needs to happen with, oh, sorry, that was my letter opener. They've been talking about how with silver prices and everything, and how the manipulation and the so-called shortage of silver and all that, that they have always said that silver should break away from the paper price, which is the silver SLV, I think, is the symbol on the exchange, and then there's another one for one of the houses. But as you know, spot price is derived from whatever paper is, plus there's a calculation about what's going on in the COMEX. But the main point was, they had this idea that silver itself should be disconnected from the paper and get to its true price. Now this is my opinion only. You think what you want, let me know in the comments down below if you think I've kind of lost it a little bit or whatever, but this is my opinion, solely my opinion only. I say right now, silver has broke away from the paper price. It is in the form of what everybody is deeming and upset about is the high premiums. Well, that's part of the disconnect, getting away from the paper price. Silver is now showing its true value based on demand, or supply and demand. That's the main reason I see it. I don't look at high premiums as, like some people think, that the big companies are gouging and this, that, and the other. But you got to look at the realities. The only way the price is up this high is because people are still willing to invest their hard-earned money in it, and they're still buying it. So, and I mean, they're not even snubbing their nose at it. I mean, I remember back when I traded in my 128 ounces for 2 ounces of gold. I actually got three coins, but it was a total, well, I got 3 pre-33 gold, but close enough to 2 ounces. And what my LCS paid me was $29 an ounce. That's what I sold, and I sold totally generic, flat out generic. There was nothing, there was no pandas, there was no taglio. It was the Sunshine 10 ounce rounds and Buffalo rounds, just the basic common, just what everybody's, just the basic generic stuff. And then I've told this in a couple of videos, before I can leave the shop, half of what I traded in for the gold, my LCS had resold to people who were basically salivating over what they couldn't wait for me to get my transaction done, because they were wanting to get their hands on the stuff. And they were paying, I think They paid me 29, and then they were turning around and they were selling it for 31, and that's when silver was high. I did this trade when silver was hitting some pretty good highs, and I mean, people were just, I think it was like 3 days, they were totally out of everything that I traded in. But that while I was in the shop, before I left, they had sold half of what I traded in, and you know, people were just going gaga over it. But when you got the high premium, you know, now that we got the high premiums, I got a feeling the premiums are here to stay. One, because of supply and demand and everything. And then you got to look at, I don't know how many of you follow some of the mining stocks, but First Majestic, I think it was the third quarter or fourth quarter of 2021, because they were seeing the manipulation, and this came from the CEO, straight from him, they withheld 1.5 million ounces of silver instead of sending it in so it could go to the COMEX. They withheld that from the market. They still turned a profit for the year off of the gold and the silver that they did sell, but they withheld 1.5 millions because they were tired of the manipulation. So, you know, when you talk about a silver shortage, personally, I'm the kind of person, I don't believe there's a silver shortage. I think it's out there. Yes, there's a lot of demand for it. You may have a hard time finding press bars, which my LCS, when they get a press bar in, because I always, you know, I'm always watching with them, because they get, you know, when you're talking a shortage of silver, they have no problems getting the Italian, and there's one other country that has the poured 10-ounce bars. They have absolutely no problems getting those. They have no problems. When they start running low, they place an order. It comes in before they actually run out of the 10-ounce poured bars. I see a lot of channels are buying those Italian poured bars, and I forget what the other country is. Forgive me on that. I don't care much for the poured bars, but there's, and I've said on other channels and discussions and stuff, I never believed in the silver shortage. I just believed in the shortage in the certain products. Yes, there was a shortage. Press bars. My LCS still has a hard time getting press bars in. When they do, they can have a whole tray of like 20 of those poured Italian bars, silver bars, but they get 2 or 3 press bars coming over the counter, and the press bars are gone. Press bars outsell the poured silver bars, hands down. But they're having a hard time getting the press bars. So, and I do like press bars. I don't like, and that's just me personally. Whatever you do is you do you. If you like the press bar, if you like the poured bars, hey, by all means, go buy poured bars. Me personally, I don't care for them. I like the press bars. That's just me. It's the way I do things. Man, I'm telling you like it is. I do have this Yale of Beaufort 10-ounce piece. I do like that. But I really think silver has finally broken away from the paper price. Now, I brought this up in another live stream over the weekend, and somebody fired back, well, it's still tied to the paper because of spot price and all that. Yes, even though silver is in my opinion only, it has broken away from paper, it still needs a basis to fluctuate for value, and it's always going to be, it can't pull away from paper 100%. It can pull away from paper, but it can't pull away from it. It can pull away from the paper, but it can't pull away from the combination of paper price and the COMEX price, which is the numbers are calculated to get your actual spot price. So I think silver has pulled away from paper. It will never pull away from the actual spot price, the calculations used for spot price. And now that that's happened, I don't think the people that were championing for that have realized that that is what it's in. It either has or it's on its way to disconnecting from paper is what I should say. And I don't think those people realize that it's either in the process or it has via the higher premiums. That's where it's breaking away from paper because it's seeing its true value in the marketplace. And that's supply, just simple economic supply and demand. People are, even with the high premiums, people are still buying it, they're still putting it away, they're still stacking it, and they're doing it in massive amounts. But now that this has happened, what I'm seeing is a lot of those same channels are now mad and complaining about the high premiums. Well, that spread for your high premiums is now that disconnect from the paper price. We're just used to whatever spot price is, paying a couple dollars over. Well, we're long past. I don't think it'll ever go back to that where you're able to get, you're able to go in and get a maple leaf for $2 over spot. We're past that. I don't think we're ever going back to that. Something bad's going to have to, bond rates or interest rates on money in the bank or something like that. It's going to have to go way up for people to pull away from this and get their money out of silver and get back into those bonds and putting their money in the bank. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. So, when you, to all those bigger channels that were championing for silver to break away from spot price, now that it has or is technically on its way to breaking loose, why are you now mad that silver is so much higher than spot price when it's doing exactly what the biggest part of the community was hoping it would do? It just makes no sense. It's, and again, this is my opinion. This is the way I see it. It's the high premiums are that breakaway from spot. We are, we've been stacking prior to 2020 when all of this started happening. Those of us that were used to getting generic silver, like getting a generic round for $1 over spot, and you were looking for the deals, which nobody tells you to do anymore because they're pushing certain products or flat out telling you buy, which is something you buy at your pace, you buy what you like, you do your research. But the days of getting at $1 over spot for your generics, this is not going to happen anymore. It's just a fact of things. And then going back to First Majestic, not only did they withhold that 1.5 million, there was a couple other miners that when they followed First Majestic's lead, and they withheld several million ounces from going and getting into the COMEX and into the system. First Majestic has been talking since 2020 about starting their own, not only being miners, but the CEO of First Majestic is so upset with the manipulation that goes on with silver and sometimes with the gold that they are, and I don't know how far along because I haven't kept up with it in a while, but they were seriously considering starting their own refinery. And instead of shipping the ore that they mine, instead of shipping that out to one of the other, to a middleman, refiner, and then off to the COMEX, they were going to cut that middleman out and possibly cut out the sending to the COMEX altogether and just refine and mint blanks for the mint their own products, which they technically send off some of their ore now to two of the big refiners and have them do their 1 ounce their 1 ounce rounds, their 5 ounce bars, 10 ounce bars, and some other products that they have that you can buy on their website and everything. So they kind of understand their process because they're selling their own silver on their own website, the silver that they actually mine. So it would make sense for them to, on a profit standpoint, since the premiums are up and everything, so that they don't get shortchanged, is, you know, they start their own refiner. They start making the blanks to provide to the mint. They start really ramping up and doing their own rounds and their own bars and whatever other few things that they make. I think they do kilo bars or 100 ounce bars or whatever it is. For them to do that puts more money in their pocket because they're cutting out the middleman, because they're doing it in-house. And it makes a lot of sense. I see where that's going, and I see what's happening. But you get a bunch, if First Majestic does that, and then all your other miners follow suit and follow in First Majestic's footsteps, there's going to be no silver going to, where's the COMEX going to get their silver? Because if, like First Majestic, they start refining their own silver, they start, you know, pouring their own 1,000 ounce bars and you know, minting their own rounds, their own 1 ounce bars, 5 ounce bars, 10 ounce bars, kilo bars, 100 ounce bars. They start, you know, refining down and making their own 1,000 ounce bars that they can sell to somebody like, you know, Elon at Tesla and some of the other places that use silver for manufacturing. Guess what that's going to do? That cuts out the COMEX. That cuts out some of those other middlemen and everything. So I think we're in that situation where silver is finally breaking away from the manipulation of paper. But everybody's all mad because they think premiums are just gouging by the big companies, when, in, you know, the way I see it, against my personal opinion, the way I see it, silver is on that breakaway from paper. So anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think, and I will see you on another video.